The horror genre is stuffed with countless sequels, reboots, and prequels, and its low-budget leanings mean that franchises are commonplace. Unfortunately, most of these would-be sagas quickly dilute the appeal of the stories that they were inspired by, leaving horror fans with few options when it comes to impressively crafted stories. Every now and then, though, a horror sequel comes along that is not just as good as the original, it's actually a lot better. The reasons for this vary, from a change in the creative team to a larger budget to a better understanding of the story, tone, and characters. Whatever the case may be, these successful motion pictures prove that a horror movie sequel is not inherently a bad thing in the right hands. So as a sequel to one of our own lists, I am Gareth, this is What Culture Horror, and here are more horror movie sequels massively better than the original. Number 9. Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey 2. Once beloved characters or IP enter the public domain, it means there can be multiple interpretations of these properties from a variety of creative voices. Now, while the diversity in depicting these stories sounds great on paper, it can sometimes result in a bit of a mess on screen, as was seen with 2023's Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey. Oh boy. Blending a beloved children's franchise with horror is a risky balancing act even for a passionate filmmaker, so it was unsurprising that a cynical approach to this endeavor birthed one of the worst films this decade has ever seen. Visually drab, bereft of effective humor, and saddled with awful dialogue, Rhys Frake Waterfield's Parvum opus did nothing special, or had anything unique to say about placing the Disney darling in the world of horror. But it made money, so a sequel and the garish-sounding Pooniverse was guaranteed, sadly. The 2024 follow-up, though still quite terrible, managed to clear the laughably low bar its predecessors set by having better production values that allowed for more impactful and creative kills, as well as genuinely palpable atmosphere, even if the writing and performances were still way off the mark. If the Pooniverse is to continue, well, hopefully Frake Waterfield & Co. will craft a saga that will wash the taste of the first Blood and Honey feature out of the mouths of better deserving audiences. I still can't get over the name of this dumb universe, man. Number 7. Slumber Party Massacre 2021. Despite attracting a considerable cult following in the 4 decades since its release, the Slumber Party Massacre is not the slasher subgenre's best offering. Tonally jumbled, full of off-tune performances, and lacking any real suspense. That 1982 movie's real saving grace comes from its thematic leanings and satirical bent, courtesy of acclaimed feminist author Rita Mae Brown. The latter merits were not given their time to shine due to creative differences. But fortunately, this was not the case for its 2021 sequel/reimagining. Released on the Sci-Fi Channel, Slumber Party Massacre honors the original feature's ideas, while still being able to act as a cohesive story, with improved production values accompanying the subversive writing. Director Danishka Esther Hazy and writer Suzanne Kiley are able to flesh out the world that the characters inhabit by fleshing out their backstories and weaving new and achingly relevant themes into said stories, ensuring that the 2020 slasher is satisfying on multiple fronts, especially in the realms of spectacle, commentary, and storytelling. Just like the movie it's connected to, Slumber Party Massacre has the potential to be a cult classic, and for even more good reason than what came before. If you've not watched it already, then go and check it out, after you've watched this video, of course. Number 6. Addams Family Values. 1991's The Addams Family was a financial hit upon its release, but didn't quite flawlessly capture the gonzo humor found in the 1960s sitcom and original comic strip that inspired it. Fortunately, 1993's Addams Family Values made the right call in trading slapstick laughs for darker, more gothic humor, while still retaining the franchise's satire of traditional family sensibilities. The Barry Sonnenfeld helm flick still retains some zany elements, most of which revolve around new Addams Family member Pubert, but these hijinks, alongside Uncle Fester's misadventures with the unsettling babysitter Debbie, serve as hilarious dressing for a far more insightful story. From its title, a parody of the infamous Reflections on Urban America speech, and exploration of the plight faced by indigenous Americans during the colonization of the continent, it is clear that this horror comedy was more ambitious in its narrative scope. particularly as Christina Ricci's Wednesday and Jimmy Workman's Pugsley challenged the conformity faced upon them in summer camp. With regards to the frightful elements, the likes of Joan Cusack, Peter McNichol, and Christina Baranski's unhinged characters bring the horror home to a film that understood its forerunner's charm and built upon it immensely. 'Twas a superior sequel. Number 5. Ouija: Origin of Evil. One of the worst horror films of the 2010s, Ouija was considered dead on arrival after its mediocre 2014 release. The movie, based on the well-known talking board, lacked compelling performances, was labored with an overly self-serious tone, and did not have the momentum necessary to be considered a successful horror effort. Understandably, a new entry in this cinematic realm was not hotly anticipated, like at all. But Mike Flanagan would challenge expectations with 2016's Ouija: Origin of Evil. The contemporary horror maestro, who also wrote and edited the second film, crafted a prelude story that was superior in every measure, and actually gave this would-be franchise unexpected intrigue. Flanagan gives the main cast a level of depth by exploring the dishonest nature of Ouija boards, as well as the complicated family dynamic, and this works due to its relative slow burn. Because of this, the build-up to the terrifying set pieces are underscored by excellent character work, as well as a genuinely engrossing sense of fear and tension. While Flanagan has moved on to other impressive projects, his mark on this Hasbro-owned franchise was what it definitely sorely needed. If you like this list, then hit that subscribe button down below and you're gonna get more of them. Sounds like a plan to me. Now back to the video. Number 4. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Cloverfield is a sturdily crafted kaiju horror flick that took advantage of the found footage craze of the 2000s and 2010s to create a harrowing cinematic experience with something to say about how we engage with spectacle and the swift and overwhelming response to major threats. This is why it was all the more surprising that 10 Cloverfield Lane managed to surpass the Matt Reeves-helmed franchise opener in nearly every category. While the two still share existential threats of an otherworldly kind, the 2016 spiritual successor explores said perils in a more small-scale, claustrophobic manner. As a result, 10 Cloverfield Lane uses its limited character number and scope to explore themes of abuse, deception, and manufactured fears. While the latter turns out to be true, it does not invalidate the rest, as seen in how Howard mistreats Michelle and Emmett for his own twisted gain. The outside alien threat, though very real, was not the main driver of the elder man's nefarious goals to rebuild his lost family. Coupled with stellar performances, especially from John Goodman as Howard, and taut directing, cinematography, and music, 10 Cloverfield Lane manages to exceed its predecessor in a smart and chillingly magnetic fashion. Number 3. Bride of Frankenstein. One of the first horror movies made in the wake of the harsh censorship of the Hays Code, 1935's Bride of Frankenstein had a rather steep uphill battle to overcome. Additionally, director James Whale was not pleased with the scripts that came his way, therefore throwing a wrench into the development of a continuation to 1931's Frankenstein. Despite these challenges, Bride of Frankenstein prevailed to become a seminal work of classic Hollywood cinema and the horror genre. The script, penned by William Hurlbut with a story credit for John L. Balderston, seamlessly weaves together a zanier tone than the first film, with thought-provoking themes surrounding human sexuality, creation in a religious context, and scientific advancement. These lofty intellectual ambitions are anchored by fantastic performances from Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster and Elsa Lanchester as his bride. The monstrous duo effortlessly navigate pathos and humor, and are able to add numerous layers to what on paper would be flat characters due to their limited cognitive abilities. Despite conservative attitudes and creative differences, Bride of Frankenstein managed to become an enduring piece of pop culture nearly 9 decades after its release. Number 2. Evil Dead 2. Horror comedies are plentiful in cinema, but few match the sheer off-the-wall nature of the Evil Dead series. The 5-film plus a TV series franchise is known for its over-the-top gore and raunchy but genuinely funny sense of humor, and the first 2 movies best exemplify this. Directed by Sam Raimi, the initial 2 Evil Dead pictures are both wildly entertaining, but Evil Dead 2 takes the cake when it comes to blending laughs, frights, and technical value. Raimi's more assured hand means the 1987 fan favorite easily embraces the absurdity of some of its events, almost to the point of affectionate parody of its predecessor. Unlike Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2013, Evil Dead 2 succeeds at balancing tonal variations by ensuring that Ash's competent, eccentric, free-spirited nature is matched by the Deadites' palpable threat. Beyond this, the kinetic camera work elevates the original flick's already impressive visual style, serving as a showcase of what a few years of experience and an increased budget can do for long-running cinematic storytelling. Ultimately, both movies are a wild, entertaining ride, but Evil Dead 2 is able to win out on entertainment value and visceral spectacle. Number 1. Dawn of the Dead. Nobody in mainstream American cinema has contributed to the zombie subgenre as much as George A. Romero, as seen by his work in the Living Dead franchise. Kicking things off with 1968's Night of the Living Dead, Romero delivered the requisite thrills, so much so that critics, trades, and families chastised the violence and gore, while delivering incisive commentary on racism, Cold War anxieties, and the conformist, fragile nature of American society in the 60s. Impressively, 1978's Dawn of the Dead managed to build upon all these winning factors and expand the scope of the story's events, sharply critiquing the consumerist nature that was steadily rising at the time. It also benefited from exploring the then novel idea of seeing survivors make their way through the apocalypse and the toll that takes on them. Furthermore, an increased budget meant Romero and his production team could stage more elaborate set pieces, as well as deliver on truly groundbreaking makeup work for the zombies, or ghouls as they are referred to in the movie. All in all, Dawn of the Dead takes the cake on being the better film, which is no small feat given what it had to follow. Impressive stuff.